Hello and welcome to another video. I'm extremely productive and filming this at 8 AM before I start work because it's tipping it down outside. I cannot go for a walk. So you lovely people have me filming a video instead, which is very productive. I'm just trying to get myself motivated for the day as well. So if I believe my own words, it's a successful start to the day. This video is basically a look at my TBR, but a pick of the top books on my TBR that I am most excited to read. I don't have a set TBR each month. I don't have a set TBR at all unless I'm doing some kind of a read-along or a readathon. And this is basically an amalgamation of all the books on my shelves that I consider my TBR because I bought them all and I want to read them at some point. Will I? But these books are the ones I've picked out that I looked at and I was most excited to read very, very soon. And I thought I would run you through them in no, that's a lie. There is a particular order. I have kind of categorised them roughly into genre, kind of, except I've not read them yet, and often I feel like I can miscategorise because I'm the kind of person that doesn't like to massively look into books before I read them, so all I really have to go on is the blurb. I don't like to go on Goodreads just in case there's spoilers or just in case you see, like, for me, I find if someone says there's a twist in something and I didn't know about the twist, then I find that kind of spoilery because, and you're looking for a twist, whereas you might not initially be looking for something like that, so I'm going to go into these blind and I'm just going to vaguely give you what I think they're about. First up we have Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is one I've talked about quite a lot on my channel since I bought it last month, I think. I bought this one because I was going through a phase of really wanting to read lots of Gothic horror, and that is very much still prevalent. I think I'm going to read more Gothic horror towards the October time because of Halloween and it's just spooky and autumnal and cosy. This is definitely one high up on my TBR, so I might get to this beforehand, although I keep thinking like that and then I'm reducing all the books that I was saving for autumn. Oops. This, from what I can see, is about a haunted house in Mexico in the 1950s and about someone, judging from, I like it when there's a tagline on the back because that kind of gives you an insight a bit more into the characters. The blurb on the back says, "He is trying to poison me. You must come for me, Noemi. You have to save me." Cannot read today. I like those kind of little snippets, and that makes me also think that there's some kind of trapped friendship situation going on in this. I'm very excited to read this because it's not something I would usually read, not because I don't want to, just because I don't find as many books around like this that I find appealing. So I am very excited to start off the autumn season with this book. Then we have Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. This one I was very excited about when I put on my wish list, and I got this one as a birthday gift. I think this is a mystery type of thrillery thing. Basically, the main character's best friend goes missing and no one really notices she's gone until 1 year later when they find her body, or not body. They find her. There's no specification as to whether it's her body or her being alive. But I think this sounds really intriguing. I've heard lots of good things about Tiffany D. Jackson's writing, and I've got another one of hers, Allegedly, on my shelf as well. This one springs out to me because I like the idea of a mystery behind it, and I hope that as a reader there's something to solve there, because I enjoy those kind of books when you get to solve a mystery as well as just reading about it, when it scatters the clues and you can actually try and work it out. I like books that try and use my brain a bit more because I feel that keeps me more engaged and on the page. Then we have Unravelling by Karen Lord. You've probably seen quite a lot of these featured in some recent recommendations videos because the genres I'm going through at the moment would link into the recommendations video I did for Gothic, mystery and thriller books, so that's up there if you want to see some more in this genre. But this is, look, I don't know if it's a bit of a fantasy as well because there's talk of labyrinths and things, and I don't know if it's the fantasy element or just a maze. I'm getting the impression it's a fantasy element because the way it's worded says that the trickster must travel through conjured mazes following threads of memory to locate the shadowy killer. It just seems like there's a little bit of an element of fantasy, but basically this is about somebody who helps get someone arrested for a crime and then later realises they've got the wrong person and the real killer is still actually out on the loose and they have to try and solve that mystery. I really like these kind of things, as I just said, the things where you have to figure it out, but if this is involving fantasy as well, I'm very excited because that is right up my street, a thriller mystery with some fantasy involved. Yes, please. I'm very excited to dig into this one. In fact, the more I look at this one, the more I really, really want to read it soon. It's not very long either, which means it's probably quite quick and addictive and fast-paced, which is even better. I much prefer fast-paced novels to slower ones, I've realised. Although I like a long, fast-paced book. Something like House of Earth and Blood I found was very fast-paced, but very chunky, so I'm going off trail. But this is also on my list. Then we've got Alice Osman's Loveless. Now, I'm fussy with when I read contemporaries. I prefer to be more of a seasonal reader and read contemporaries in the spring and summer months, and read more like thrillery fantasies in the autumn and winter months, although I do cross over with both, but I have to be in quite the mood to read a contemporary. So this one is very high up on my TBR for the pure reason of how much everyone's loved it and how much everyone has said it meant something to them. So I love Alice Osman's writing already, and that encouraged me to bump this up on my TBR. This is also set in a university setting, which I really enjoy. I enjoyed that from Rainbow Rowell's Fangirl, that setting element, and also Anna and the French Kiss. Was that set at university or school? Like, I just like those kind of settings, although I haven't read a setting like that for a long time, so I wonder if I'll still like those kind of settings now that I am not at university. Maybe it'll just make me feel sadly nostalgic. But anyway, this is about Georgia. She's at university, she is asexual and aromantic, and she is worried she will remain loveless. So I have seen fantastic things, as I said, and that is honestly why I want to bump this up on the TBR, because I want to see what all the hype is about. I'm sure I'm going to love this too, because I loved Radio Silence by Alice Osman, and I have all of her other books. I can't remember which ones I've read and which ones I haven't now, but I'm expecting great things. Then we have J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit. This one I have been wanting to read for a long time now. We rewatched all of the films, The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings films, recently because Ava was watching them for the first time, which was exciting, and it made me want to read the book even more. This is a children's book originally written as, so I'm hoping it's not too daunting for that reason, because the Lord of the Rings series is a lot. There is a lot of beautiful wording and beautiful settings and story buildings, and that can be a little bit scary because at times the writing goes on a little bit. I've read the first book, The Fellowship of the Ring, and it took me a while, but that's what audiobooks are for, to help us along the journey. And I think the audiobook for this one is quite good, if I've heard right. I know that Andy Serkis is going to be doing an audiobook as well, so I wonder when that's going to come out. Probably not in time for September when I'll be reading this, because this is part of the Tolkien Along. The Tolkien Along is a read-along that I am hosting with Ashley from A Frolic Through Fiction and Lauren from Fiction Tea. I'm very, very excited to be reading through The Hobbit and the 3 Lord of the Rings books each month from September till December. I'll link my announcement video at the top here if you haven't read about it, or if you haven't read about it, watched about it. There's multiple ways you can consume this media. Check it out, it's going to be really exciting, and we're starting with The Hobbit in September, so of course this is high up on my TBR. Then we've got The Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Harrow. This one I have been meaning to read every month, but every month I'm like, you know you want to read this in September, you know you want to read it in September. This comes out in October, so I really do want to read it in September, but I have deliberately waited to read this because I want the cosy autumnal vibes. I'm saying this, September is never autumnal. September's always like everyone painfully waiting for jumper weather, and then suddenly we get into the heat wave. But I can dream. This is a witchy feminist story in which the suffragists, I think, are involved with witches burning and getting the vote, and it just sounds brilliant. I really enjoy the way that we've mixed the feminism with the witch movement as well, and this is definitely something I've not read about before, so I'm really excited to get stuck into this. This is an arc, as I said, this doesn't come out until October, but it's so freaking floppy as well. I'm really excited to read this one. It is killing me not to read it sooner, but I know if I wait until September, I'll be very happy. Then we have got Cersei by Madeline Miller, which is a book that I wasn't at all bothered about reading until about 2 months ago, and then I suddenly looked at the blurb again and thought, I need this, I need it now. This follows Cersei and a lot of other Greek gods. Cersei has the power of witchcraft, which is very frowned upon by the Greek gods, and this basically follows her story. I don't know too much about the ins and outs of her story already. I do really find Greek mythology very interesting, but I haven't really heard much about Cersei. I'd be interested to know if Cersei from Game of Thrones is named after Cersei here. I wonder if there's some kind of parallels and comparisons between the character, or if it was just a random name pick. I know that's a really weird thing to think about, but like, I'm just trying to see if there's a parallel because it's such a distinctive original name linked to Greek mythology that I'm wondering if they link as a character. So this is very much Cersei's independence and woman power and discovering her powers, and a lot of other stuff happening to her as well, I'm sure. I really don't know much going into this one, but I'm very excited, and also I think this might be one of the most beautiful books I own. And lastly, we have got Gathering Darkness by Morgan Rhodes. This is the 3rd book in the Fallen Kingdom series, which is a series I have become obsessed with and is one of my favourite series now. I'm only 2 books in. I want to read this one now, but also I'm in the middle of the house stuff, the move and the flat, and I don't want to pick up something that I really, really, really want to enjoy if I'm not going to be able to sit down and read and concentrate, and I'm just going to be reading it over the course of a month because I probably won't be as engaged in it as if I wasn't quite as distracted. So it's killing me not to read this one right now, it really is, but I want to read it when I know I can properly pay attention to it. But the Fallen Kingdoms, bleh, words! The Fallen Kingdoms series is a YA Game of Thrones kind of, except it's not really that YA if you look at the age of the characters and also the age of the characters of Game of Thrones. If that's the categorisation of YA, then they're a similar age in Game of Thrones. It's basically about this struggle for power, these kingdoms warring against each other, a search for magic that's been hidden for years, romances, wars, heartbreak. It's fantastic. It's such a good series. Every time I see someone say they've picked it up because I've recommended it, my heart swells. Every time they say they love it, I am just so happy. So please pick up this series. This is book 3. I cannot wait to read it. I'm not going to tell you what book 3 is about because spoilers. So those are the books that I'm really excited to be reading on my TBR very, very soon. This video might be a little bit messy because I am also trying to rush it before I have to start work. I've got 13 minutes, so I'm on time. But I wanted to be productive and get this done now because I just did. I don't like having to cram everything into my lunch break because I only get a half-hour lunch, and I also like to do my video editing and possibly book reviews today I think I'll need to do, because I've got 2, my Midnight Sun review and my Catherine House review, just sat waiting to go. So they'll get out soon. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know what's on your TBR down below in the comments. You can like this if you enjoyed it, and you can subscribe to see more of my face on your feed. Thank you guys very, very much. Keep smiling and stay positive.